All right, y'all. Deontay Wilder's ex-trainer Mark Breland has broken silence. That is right. With that being said, before I get into the video, hit the thumbs up, hit the sub, hit the bell. You know what to do. And with that being said, let's get into the video. Now, excuse me while I read little excerpts from his actual interview. This is a statement that Breland said. His, meaning Wilder's, career is over now. I'm done and he's done. I'm done with him. Pretty much sums it up. I mean, I don't blame him for being done with Deontay Wilder after the accusations that he made about Breland. He goes on also to say, Wilder only has his power, and we'll see how far that takes him. That's all I'm going to say. Basically, he's saying that Deontay Wilder, in his opinion, isn't that skilled. When asked about spiking the water, Breland said this: a lot of people know me. If you're looking at tapes or whatever and stuff like that, you don't ever see water in my hands. And regardless of that, I'm there to help you. When you win, I win. Exactly right. That's how a trainer gets notoriety, by his fighters actually winning, not by them losing, by them poisoning their fighters and causing them to lose and taking a little bit of money. That hurts them in the long run, because the more champions you can train, the longer that you can have a champion being a champion, the more notoriety you get, the more people who want to fight under you. That's how you make your real money as a trainer. Him speaking on Deontay Wilder's loss, he said, some people can't take a loss. If you lose, you lose. Don't blame everybody. Go back and think about yourself. So then he was asked about Tyson Fury's gloves. Did they look dodgy, etc.? Breland goes on to say, if he did, I don't know. I doubt it very much. But at the same time, he ain't going to beat Tyson Fury. So he's telling you that regardless if the gloves were tampered with or not, Deontay Wilder can't beat him. So he's letting you know right there that even if you put Tyson Fury's glove underneath a microscope, right, and they were to fight 100 out of 100 times, he's not going to beat him. And that's the thing. That's the problem that a lot of people can't accept. Tyson Fury is a very good boxer. Now, there has been several times in the history of boxing where you have a guy who just, for whatever reason, cannot beat that guy. For whatever reason, he can beat every single person you put in front of him, but there's one guy he just cannot beat. And that could be that one guy for Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury just might not lose to him. Tyson Fury might just have that style that counters everything that Deontay Wilder does. Now, just because Tyson Fury has beat him and beat him by a corner stoppage doesn't automatically by default mean that Deontay Wilder is trash. Yes, technically he is lacking. But like Mark Breland said, let's see how far his power will take him. So, as long as he can land those shots and knock people out, a win is a win. Whether you look good, look ugly, it doesn't have to be pretty. As long as you win, you win. Your greatness is based upon winning. So if Deontay Wilder, let's say, fights Charles Martin next, knocks him out. And if he fights Dillian White or Povetkin, whoever wins that, knocks him out. If he fight AJ, knocks him out, and then fights Tyson Fury again and loses, then it is what it is. Tyson Fury just has that style that Deontay Wilder cannot overcome. But I will not say, regardless how technically bad he looks, I will not say one loss means he's trash. And the only way, and I've said this several times, that we're going to really know if Deontay Wilder is trash is if he gets in there with actual top 10 guys. So if he goes on to fight, again, Anthony Joshua, depending on what happens, even a Usyk, if Usyk can beat Joe Joyce, that's a top tier fighter. Or he could go on to fight Joe Joyce. If Joe Joyce beats Usyk, that's a top 10 fighter. If he goes on to beat Povetkin, or Dillian White, whoever wins in the rematch, that's a top 10 fighter. If he goes on to beat, say, Andy Ruiz Jr., that's a top 10 fighter who also had a belt because he beat AJ before losing to him. If he could go on to beat Charles Martin, well, I'm not quite sure if Charles Martin at the moment is a top 10 fighter, but he is an ex-champion that AJ got his first belt from. So that right there is a decent win. Now, has Charles Martin beat world beaters? No. He's got 2 losses. And I'm bringing this up because this might be his next fight. He's got 2 losses. One was to Anthony Joshua, as I mentioned. The other one was to old-looking old Naki. That's right. He lost to him. But if you would have watched that fight, if it had been a championship fight, a 12-round fight, there's no way Martin would have lost to him. He was beating him in the second half. He just ran out of time. He ran out of rounds. He came on too late. And even though he was outboxing him from like the 7th round on and beating him pretty convincingly, he had got too far behind. Now, you could chop that up to ring rust. He was coming back from being shot, literally being shot. And he got in there with a guy who was considered a top 10 coming up prospect before he just got knocked out. But he looked good against him in the second half of the fight when the ring rust came off. So again, to restate, Charles Martin would be a good win if Deontay Wilder fights him and beats him. So I agree with Mark Breland. Let's see how far that power can take him if he doesn't ever get technically better. I will say this. Mark Breland is a lot more composed than I would be, because when asked about questions like that, I would have went off. Mark Breland, somewhere deep down inside of him, must really care for Deontay Wilder, because after the things Deontay Wilder has said about him, for him not to go 100 when asked about Deontay Wilder, for him not to go for a defamation suit against him, really tells you that Breland was really there for his best interest. Hell, even to the people who believe in Glovegate, do y'all not realize, regardless what Deontay Wilder says, he wants to go out on the shield, that's fine. He's supposed to have that mentality. He's supposed to die in that ring before he'll lose. But at the end of the day, it's your coach/trainer who makes that decision on if they actually want to see you die. When they throw the towel out, that doesn't mean that you lack heart, because you didn't give up. Deontay Wilder didn't give up. Breland saw that he was being beat to a point of where he couldn't properly protect himself. He was just taking more and more damage, and there was no coming back from it. So he threw the towel out to save him. Again, what I was going to bring up, and I kind of got on a tangent. To those who believe that there was an egg weight in that glove, do y'all not realize that by Breland throwing in that towel, if there really was a blunt object in that glove, he saved his life? If he had a dent in his head from a metal object, what do you think would have happened if he kept getting hit in the side of the head where that dent was by that metal object? He very well could have died or suffered some type of severe brain damage that he would never recover from or ever fight again. So if anything, if you believe in the conspiracy that I don't believe in, Breland saved his life. Saved him from a metal object, a blunt object in his glove. But yet he gets fired. It's ridiculous. And like I said, Breland was a lot more coy than I would have been. But at the end of the day, I respect Mark Breland. I hope he gets new blood underneath him, new fighters underneath him, and he can train another world champion. That's really all I got to say on it. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Thank y'all for watching.